Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. In today's issue, we're going to continue our coverage with the crisis between Ukraine and the Russian Federation, and obviously that entails NATO and Western European countries and the United States as well. But again, we have received a better picture in terms of some of the force deployments by the Russian Federation in terms of what those force deployments actually look like. And it is much, much bigger than I think really anyone has actually anticipated in terms of the wide spectrum of forces that are being moved all across the Russian Federation. So what's new? What additional information that at least we have come upon in terms of ongoing information that is filtering out of the Russian Federation in terms of these force deployments? Well, first, the elements of the Sixth Army, and that traditionally is stationed near St. Petersburg. It is really designed to cover the borders of the Baltic states and all the way up towards Finland. And again, it is now being reported that some fairly significant elements of the Sixth Army based in St. Petersburg are being moved to the border of Ukraine. And that would entail this unit here, the 25th Mechanized Brigade. Again, a standard mechanized brigade of the Russian Army, 3 mechanized battalions, 1 tank battalion, and you can obviously read the information yourself. Now, does that mean this whole brigade is being deployed to the border of Ukraine? No, that does not necessarily mean that is the case. It means elements of the 25th Brigade have been deployed. Is it possible the entire brigade has been deployed? It is. However, with that being said, that is unlikely. They have probably formed battalion tactical groups, possibly 1, possibly 2, from the 25th Brigade to deploy to the Ukrainian border. An additional unit of the 6th Army as well, the 138th Mechanized Brigade, as well has been deployed to the border of Ukraine as well. And that was in addition to all the forces we have spoke about earlier, such as the 1st Guards Tank Army, elements of the 4th Tank Division, 2nd Motorized Rifle Division. Obviously, the big deployment that has really received a lot of press is the deployment of this unit here, the 41st Army. Major elements of the 41st Army to include the 90th Tank Division. That's traditionally based over here. And obviously you can see where that's located on the map. I am not going to attempt to butcher the names of Russian cities, as I do not do a very good job on that issue. But again, um, among the units of this Army group that are being also deployed with the 41st Army, we've also received reports that this unit I've talked about in the past that I didn't believe would be deploying west, the 55th Mechanized Brigade. We have heard that unit, elements of that unit has been deployed, as well as the 35th Mechanized Brigade as well. So significant components of the 41st Army based near Kazakhstan and Mongolia, well east of the Ural Mountain Range, being deployed thousands of miles west towards the border of Ukraine. Additionally, in the southern military districts, two elements of 2 army groups are being deployed to the southern Ukraine border and the Crimea. Elements of the 49th Army are being deployed, as well as this army group here as well, which is the 58th Army Group. So again, elements, not the entire 50. Obviously, the 58th Army and the 49th Army are designed to cover the Southern Caucasus and deal with issues such as Chechnya, Georgia, Abkhazia, Azerbaijan. So of course, all these units are not being deployed. It's major elements of these units, such as individual brigades and such, that are being deployed to the Crimea in southern Ukraine. But again, just the scale of this deployment is something that I don't think we've ever really seen. And when I mean something we've never really seen, this amount of force movement by the Russian Federation from really army groups all across the Russian Federation, and we're also seeing obviously airborne troops being deployed and could be deployed very, very quickly. So we would anticipate other forces from the Russian airborne forces that could be deployed very, very quickly. There are elements of the airborne forces that have been deployed to the Crimea, to the border of Ukraine. Now, granted, those units can be a little bit more difficult to track at times because of their rapid mobility capability. The Russians do play this game of Maskarova, which is fine, and as they should, in terms of moving forces around, moving pieces around to confuse possible remote sensing assets of the United States and obviously NATO countries and Ukrainian intelligence. But again, the sheer magnitude of this buildup is just, I would just say it's impressive. And they look to be, at least on the surface, they look to be, if you take into account the deployments of additional National Guard forces, and the call up of the reserve component of the Russian Federation, which you never really see happen. They have a reserve construct. It is not as well an oiled machine as what you would see in the United States, but it is present and it is being used right now, and that has many individuals in the West also concerned, and many battlefield commanders and military leaders that are watching the situation. So it would appear that a possible operation that could include the entire conquest of the Ukraine could be set in motion at some point. But again, it appears from the movement of forces that a very, very bold operation at least is being planned for, or to give Vladimir Putin that option to initiate a very, very bold, aggressive operation, quite possibly that could focus on the entire Ukraine. But again, kind of getting the cart before the horse, so to speak. But a tremendous force construct posture that could be utilized very aggressively as we creep into January and later into 2022, if not sooner. Obviously, the Russians could kick this off with an air campaign and a short range ballistic missile campaign and a cruise missile campaign to degrade Ukrainian forces before deploying major ground forces into Ukraine as well. So again, all the pieces do not have to be in place before the Russian military were to act. And again, the rhetoric in some of the demands that are now coming out of the Russian camp is pretty impressive as well, in terms of telling NATO that they want the NATO battalion battle group out of Poland, out of Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and basically any post 1997 NATO acceptee. So again, that is fairly significant. We're just not talking about Russian demands in terms of not having the Ukraine join NATO, but we're talking about the removal of all partner forces from Ukraine, and there are Western European forces in the Ukraine as we speak, in Western Ukraine. They're demanding the withdrawal of those forces, and they're also demanding the withdrawal of forces out of the Baltics and even Poland. So again, those are significant demands, and the question is why is Putin making that demand? And is he in a position now where he really has no choice but to quite possibly launch a military campaign? I can tell you the cost of keeping these forces deployed along the border of Ukraine is incredibly expensive, and it continues. The buildup continues. So at some point, it's going to become not economically viable not to act at some point, quite possibly. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and we'll continue to monitor the situation and report on any additional assets that are being deployed near the border of Ukraine. And again, right now, it's safe to say that quite literally every army group in the Russian Federation is at least some elements of those army groups are being deployed towards the border of the Ukraine. It is a significant buildup. Have a good day, everybody. More to come.